Hello, I'm Shubhangi and we are going to talk about defense mechanisms. The 10th one is a rationalization. Rationalization is nothing but the justification of one's behavior through attempts at a rational explanation. So, no matter what happens, you are trying to make out a rational explanation behind it. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have heard about this, metaphor. Is it called a metaphor? I don't know. Okay. Nachna I to angan teda. So basically, just because you're not able to dance, you're just blaming the things or the components that is irrelevant. Okay. It is same thing as saying that there is a rational reasoning behind my inability to do something. It is basically act of creating a reasonable explanation and not a factual explanation. What happened was not because of my incompetence or because of something that I did wrong, but it was meant to happen, or blaming it something as something that was supposed to happen. Rationalizing all of these things. So I think I've done that. 11th one is intellectualization. So it is basically the development of patterns of excessive thinking or over analyzing, which may increase the distance from one's emotions. So, it is usually seen, and a lot of people tend to do this, where they are no longer actually experiencing emotions or trying to deal with it, consciously, but they completely separate themselves from the whole situation, which can be highly beneficial in a lot of times, but it is not beneficial when that's the only thing that you do, right? There should be a proper balance in equilibrium in every single thing that we do in our life, obviously. So when we talk about intellectualization, it is about how I take a step back and I view my position in a very holistic manner, or in basically a third person view, and I'm over analyzing these things as to what might have led to it, what actually happened, and what I could have done different, and just these over or excessive thoughts about what actually happened. So even though this can help us not only think about, let's say, something that from my perception I'm trying to think about from others' perception, but when I'm not actually dealing with those emotions and I'm only trying to see something in a objective manner, it is never actually dealing with your emotions. It is just kind of maintaining a distance and dissecting all of the other things little by little. So this is, for example, let's say somebody has received an information about a terminal illness. So rather than them actually feeling the denial or feeling or grieving the fact that they are in such a situation, what they end up doing is they do a shit ton of research. They do a lot of research based on what is the situation, why exactly it would have happened, what were the causes, what are the reasons, remembering something that they have done 10 years in the past, and that could have been a trigger to their hereditary predisposition, etc. I think we're getting to the point, right? So, more passion, more energy, more footwork, more footwork, more footwork. Okay. The 12th one is reaction formation. Okay, so the 12th one is reaction formation. So, reaction formation means replacing one's initial impulse towards a situation or an idea with the opposite impulse. So, this is basically that you feel one thing, but you're expressing a completely opposite emotions. This is usually seen when a person really likes somebody else, or they have a crush on them and they are overly rude to them, or they pretend that they don't like them, or they really, really hate them. So, that is kind of, even though they really like them, they're portraying that they don't actually like them. And this is also seen in terms of the opposite, where a person actually hates or despises this one person, and because of this emotion they are overly kind to them while their interactions and when they're communicating with them. So I don't get the point of life at this point. Like, what am I going to get by making a video? 13th one in is, okay, the 13th one is conversion. Conversion is something that is not only psychological, but it is also tad bit physical now, right? So the development of physical symptoms that cannot be explained by pathophysiology or physical injury. This defense mechanism is recognized in the conversion disorder, also known as the functional neurologic symptom disorder. So this is basically suggesting that, let's say a person develops these random pains, let's say on their arm, right? And they have random pains and they're not able to explain. They are having headaches, they are having issues with their, digestive system and a lot of different reasons. And then they go to their doctor or their primary caregiver. They go to their doctor, get all the tests done, they get the lab work in, they get the blood work in, all of those things, and maybe a few scans if to see, the intensity of whatever. Okay, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So after all of this, there is no reason as to why I should be having these things. I have no type of fever, I don't have any type of, condition, I'm not sick, nothing is happening. But this is basically a manifestation of these psychological burdens into physical forms. So if you're having like these random pains that cannot be explained by doctors in terms of physical nature, that means it is a physical pain, because it is basically a burden. Psychological problems are not surface level problems, they actually change a person's biology, because psychological problems are not coming out of nowhere. It is not coming out of thoughts of a person. It is differentiations in terms of how our neurotransmitters work, about how we perceive ourselves, how we socialize, how we think about ourselves, how we think about people around us, or how we think that people think about us. There are a lot of different things that is included. So when these things have been so much burdened that they are not able to be dealt with because of any of the reasons, it obviously manifests in different ways. It is basically not only a way of your brain telling that there is something wrong with you, it is a way of your brain screaming that there is something wrong with you and it needs to be addressed. So I don't know why a clap was needed for that. Okay. 14th one is regression. So regression is adapting to one's behavior to earlier levels of psychosocial development. So when we are talking about psychosocial development, let me educate you. Like I know things. So psychosocial stages, or these stages of development, was given by Erik Erikson, and he basically mentioned or divided a person's lifespan into 8 different stages. So it is about how from the early age, from their infancy, about how they learn about trust, how they learn about their autonomy, how they learn about their purpose in life, how they learn about trust, guilt, inferiority, etc. So it is basically a way of people developing psychologically and also socially, right? That's why it is psychosocial development. It is almost like where they stand in their life, like what is their identity. So when this regression happens, a lot of people start throwing tantrums. Okay, let's say somebody has gone through some traumatic event, and at this point they are not dealing it the way they deal with other things. They are going to a place where they are throwing tantrums, they are completely fighting, they're acting like a child. A lot of people might mention that you're acting like a child, like deal with it as an adult. That basically means that they're regressing to a part of their earlier psychosocial development. So this can also be seen in situations like a child who has, gone through the period of toilet training, and randomly, because of, let's say, a traumatic event or something that really caused them stress, they started bedwetting again, even though they are at the age of like 9 or 10. where it can be really embarrassing even for the child. They are regressing to a part of them. Also, people who start thumb sucking, it was also seen as what babies do, self-soothe. So they're basically regressing to a part which actually gives them this comfort, right? The last one, or the 15th one, is sublimation. Sublimation is transforming one's anxiety or emotions into pursuits considered by societal or cultural norms to be more useful. So, this is basically about people who have these uncontrollable urges, let's say sexual urges, aggression, uncontrollable aggression, or anger, for example. These are socially not necessarily accepted. If you have like really high amounts of aggression, it is usually seen as a maladaptive or a bad thing, right? So it is, this sublimation is a type of defense mechanism where you channel all of your urges and emotions into a thing that is more socially accepted. So it is also seen as people who have a lot of aggression or anger, they have been seen to get into jobs that require them to you know so these people who often have higher levels of aggression, rather than suppressing them, they channel it into a much more useful thing, like such as joining the army or being, let's say, a really high performance fitness trainer. So they are getting all of their anger and all of their you know feelings into this particular, it's being translated into something that is not seen as aggression anymore. And maybe somebody with like high levels of sexual urges, they start educating people about body or not bodily autonomy. So these were the 15 defense mechanisms that we may see in our lives, or which may be happening to us or to people around us. So I don't know what was the point of this video, but